So again, it's a great honor that I introduce this panel. With us today is Angeline Matson. She is the current Education Director of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians and also works in enrollment services there. Angeline has bounced around as Education Director at several tribes throughout the state of Michigan in the tuition waiver program and numerous other efforts in Indian country. So we're very pleased to have her with us today.
Bonjour, Anin, Angeline Bully Matson, Adishnakas, Bawating, and Donjba. My name is Angeline Matson, and I'm a member of the Sault Ste. Marie Tribe of Chippewa Indians, and my home is Bawating, Sault Ste. Marie. My maiden name is Bully, and we had a really funny conversation about it this morning because I've always wanted to be the first female chairperson of my tribe, and I've always considered myself the Carrie Kennedy Cuomo of my tribe because Bully is a very big family name from Sugar Island, and then I married a Matson who's a Sioux tribe member from the Munising and Marquette area, big fisherman family. So I've always been kind of playing around with what my eventual campaign slogan will be, and so I've been debating Bully for you, or when you need a job done, vote for Bully. And sometimes it takes a bully to get the job done. I'm working along that, but Gwen just gave me a really good, Gwen Griffin gave me a really good suggestion, and she said, vote for Bully. You better. Well, I've always been told to start off with a joke. So there was a middle-aged woman, and she was in a bridal shop. And she was looking at these beautiful white gowns. And a lady came over and helped, may I help you, ma'am? Oh, yes, yes, I'm getting married. It's my third wedding, and I really like this beautiful white wedding gown. And the store person said, well, it's your third wedding, and white is generally reserved for like a first-time wedding. Are you sure you wouldn't like to go with maybe an off color? No, no, it's appropriate, the lady told her. So she said, my first wedding, my husband and I got into a huge disagreement in the limousine on the way to the hotel. That was it. The wedding was over. My second marriage, my husband was so excited on our wedding night, he collapsed and died before we could close the deal. My third marriage lasted 8 years. I was married to a Republican. And every night for the past 8 years, he sat on my bed and told me how wonderful it was going to be. And it never happened. So she got her white wedding gown. Well, I think that my my presentation today could be called The Evolution of a Box Checker. Growing up, I grew up, my father raised us off the reservation in New Buffalo, Michigan, and we thought we were the only Indian family in town. Well, if you've been to New Buffalo lately, it's exit 1 on I-94 as you're leaving Michigan on the way to Indiana. There is now a huge Indian casino in New Buffalo from the Pokagon Band. And growing up, we would always go back to Sault Ste. Marie in the summertime and visit with our relatives. We always had that connection with our family and a connection with the land. But as far as cultural teachings, my dad grew up at a time where it wasn't necessarily the best thing to be Indian in Sault Ste. Marie in the 1940s and 50s. And so he thought he was doing us a favor by not teaching us the language, which had been his first language, and by not teaching us a lot of the teachings that he had learned from, he was raised by his grandmother and his great-grandmother. And every now and then he would do something, and my brothers and sisters and I would kind of look at each other and, well, why was that? When my Uncle Kenny died, he was a fisherman, and he was lost to the lakes. And my dad couldn't be at the funeral. He was a truck driver. But he told my brother, make sure you put some cigarettes in the casket with Uncle Kenny. And we were like, well, why would we do that? And later I found out why we send our loved ones off with some tobacco and with some things that are meaningful. Or my grandma would be visiting and a bird flew into the window one time and was then like flopping on the ground, and my grandma was like, oh, 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 like that was really a bad sign. So these cultural teachings we didn't necessarily have a whole lot of. Well, I was the first one in my family to go to college, and I fell in love with Central Michigan University, home of the Chippewas. And I received the Michigan Indian tuition waiver, and I remember in high school, when people found out that I was getting my tuition paid for, a girl came up to me and she said, "I'm Indian too, can you tell me how you're getting your college paid for?" I said, "Well, I'm not getting it all paid for, I'm getting my tuition because I'm going to a state, school." And she said, "Well, I think I'm Indian too, so can you tell me how you got yours?" And I was like, I had known this girl, I had played sports with this girl, never had we ever talked about her being Indian, and so I was offended that she would try to get in on this Indian tuition gig at the 11th hour. Well, I went to Central in 1983, and that year the football team came out with their poster of their football schedule, and it had this cartoonish artist rendition of a Chippewa, and it was the angry savage with the tomahawk, just bloodthirsty. I mean, it would give children nightmares, but it meant our team was good. And that really prompted a lot of anger on campus, and the tribe and the university have since developed, that was kind of the rallying point of, look at this. This is ridiculous. We are not your mascots. Well, when I was a freshman, I started the Native American Student Organization on campus, and I attended a meeting, and it was with some department heads and admissions people. And they had, and it was with minority students, all these different student groups that were represented there. And they had an admissions counselor that recruited in the African American communities, and they had an admissions counselor that was dedicated to recruiting in Hispanic areas. And I said, well, do you have someone that focuses on Native American students? And they didn't, but they called me over the summer, and they said, would you like a part-time job? And so I was able to work in the admissions office recruiting Native American students. After college, I ended up working for the Saginaw Chippewa tribe. And Arnie talked about how I've been moved around from tribe to tribe. And I was I've been the education director at the Saginaw Chippewa tribe for 2 years. And that was a great experience. Because Saginaw Chippewa we had some nice resources, and so basically any program that we wanted to put on for our students or services to provide, there was money for it. Then I went to work for Pokagon Band, and they only had recently been reaffirmed of their federal recognition, and their funding was much more limited, so you had to be more creative. And now I'm working for my tribe, the Sault Ste. Marie tribe, and I think they're kind of a happy medium there. But when I first went to work for the Saginaw Chippewa tribe, I worked as an advocate in the middle school. And there was a student there who always just seemed so angry and missed a lot of school, and I was kind of like, well, what's his deal? And I started out that school year thinking one way about this student of, why does he just have such a huge chip on his shoulder every time he walks into that school? Well, my enlightenment over that school year, I ended up just realizing what so many of our public schools do to our students. And I would be waiting in the lunch line with some of my students because I would take them up to my office and for lunch sometimes and just kind of chit-chat and have fun. And I would see that there would be a group of students who were goofing off, but Jamie would be the only one that the teacher would call on it. And I would be like, well, he wasn't there by himself, but he was the only brown one. So